Welcome to today's video on processing text input in Java. We will cover how to handle user input with both text fields and text areas. JTextField provides a text field for reading a single line of text. You can specify the width or the approximate number of characters that the field should accommodate. A text field is often used in conjunction with a label to describe its purpose, and a button for user interaction. To ensure user clarity, it is very important to provide labels for each text field, guiding them on what to input. You should create a JLabel object for each label. Additionally, to allow users to input all the required information before processing, include a button that users can click to signal that their input is complete and ready for processing. Now let's see all these components in action. We will create a text field, label it, and provide a button for the user to interact with. I'm going to add a new Java class called TextFieldExample. In this example, I'm going to create a main method. So we start by creating a JFrame named TextFieldExample. And we are going to create a JPanel named Panel for our user interface components. To label the age input field, we first create a JLabel named AgeLabel with the text age: We also create a JTextField named AgeTextField to input the user's age. Here the 20 means the text field should have a width of 20 characters. So next, we are going to add a button named CheckButton, which the user can click to check their age group. So next, we are going to create a label named ResultLabel, which will display the result of checking the age group. So to process the user input, we need to attach an action listener to the check button. When the button is clicked, the listener handles the logic to check the age group and update the result label. Here we are going to use the anonymous inner class to create an anonymous class that implements the action listener interface. Here we are going to create an object of this anonymous inner class and use it as the action listener for the check button. In the action performed method, we try to parse the text entered in the age text field into an integer using the integer parseInt method call. And then we're going to call a helper method to check the age group based on the user input. And we're going to display the results in the result label. So the parseInt operation may or may not be successful, depending on the user input. As an example, the user is supposed to type in an integer value. If the user provides any other characters, the parseInt function will not succeed. In this case, we need to use the try and catch block to handle the situations when the user input is not valid. So I'm going to select all of the 3 lines of code and go to code, look for surround with, and select try and catch block. And now we put these 3 lines of code in the try block, and the catch block is going to capture the number format exception. So let's work on the check age group method next. So this is going to be a helper method. It's a private method. and it's a static method so that this method can be directly called in the main method. So if age is less than 18, we're going to return child as the age group. Else, if the age is less than 65, we're going to return adult. And else. And lastly, the third age group is going to be senior. So the check age group method checks the age provided by the user and determines whether they are a child, adult, or senior. Let's come back to the action performed method. So the result label is updated with a message that informs the user of their age group. For example, if the user's age is 25 and the check age group method determines that they are an adult, and the label will display you are in the adult age group. So I'm going to make a change to the line that inside of the catch block. If the text in the age text field cannot be successfully parsed into an integer, for example, if the user enters some non-numeric characters, and a number format exception is thrown. In this case, this code catches the exception and updates the result label with a message prompting the user to enter a valid age. So I'm going to change this to this line. Okay, so now we are done with the action listener. So next, we are going to add the labels, text fields, and buttons to the panel to organize them in our user interface. And next, we're going to set the size for the frame and add a panel to the frame. And next, we're going to set the default close operation and set the frame to be visible. All right, now let's go ahead and run this application. Now we see that we have a JFrame with the text field example as the title, and we have a label that has the information age colon. This will tell the user what to input, and followed by a text field. We can input the age in this text field, for example 20, and there is a button below the text field. Let's click that to check the age group. And we see the result message displayed in another label, the result label. Now let's go ahead and input some invalid characters and check the age group. In this case, we see the message, please enter a valid age. Now let's come back to our presentation. Let's talk about the text areas. JText area provides a multi-line text input or display field. You can specify the number of rows and columns to set its initial size. It is very common to use JScrollPane to add scroll bars to a text area. When the text content overflows the visible area of the text area, the scroll bars allow the user to navigate the content. Let's put this all into action. In this demonstration, we'll create a text area, set its size, and use a scroll pane to add scroll bars. I'm going to add a new Java class called TextAreaExample. Let's go ahead and add the main method. And we first create a new frame object. And next, I'm going to create a new JTextArea object. And I'm going to set the size of this text area being 5 by 20, 5 rows and 20 columns. Next, I'm going to create a new JScrollPane object and add the text area to it. Notice that I'm going to use the text area object as the argument when I construct the scroll pane object. Alright, now I'm going to create a new JLabel object and a button. So next I'm going to add the scroll pane, the label, and the button to the frame. Since we already add the text area to the J scroll pane when we construct the scroll pane, so we do not need to add the text area to the frame. And the scroll pane has been added to the frame. That includes the text area object. So next we need to add an action listener to the button. Again, we are going to use the anonymous inner class here. In the action performed method, what we do here is to clear the text area. By setting an empty string to the text area, we actually clear out the content of the text area. So next, we need to set the layout of the frame. And make sure we have the Java AWT library imported in order to use this layout. Again, we're going to talk about the layout manager in the last module. And next, we're going to set the size of the frame. And lastly, we set the frame to be visible. So in this example, we created a new JFrame object and add a JScrollPane object to it. So the JScroll object contains a JTextArea object. And we also add a JLabel and a JButton object to the frame. We then add an action listener to the button so that when this button is clicked, the text area is cleared. And finally, we set up, let's go ahead and run it. Now you can see when the program is running, a new window will appear with a text area, a label, and a button. We can also use the scroll bar to scroll through the text area if it is too large to fit in the window. One thing we forgot to do is we need to set the default close operation for the frame, so that when the user clicks the close button, the window is closed and also the program is terminated.